where are all these liberals? Like, they're trying to insinuate almost half the country is behind Mark Carney. If there was all these people, if there was this massive amount of support, like the polls would suggest, where are these people?
The longer the election campaign goes on, the more we see a stark difference between the Conservative, Liberal, and NDP party support. The polls would have us believe that the Liberals are literal rock stars with popularity not seen since 1968, but that hasn't translated into reality, and it seems to be a lot of smoke and mirrors.
Let's take a look. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the recent rallies from the NDP, and you see Jagmeet Singh coming in to his dozens of people that decided to show up. You want to make a place feel like there's a lot of people, you shove them all in a very small room. And keep your eye on the right side of the room, because this is kind of important. So if you see right there, there's a wall mirror that is pretty large. And it makes it seem like there is a lot more people in that room than there actually is.
Now, we can't say, oh, well, they put up a mirror specifically for this, or that they chose this room specifically. It could be just coincidence, but the end result is the same, that it makes the room, as Ryan said, look like there are more people in it than there actually are.
Now, if you're the NDP party right now, you're probably attending rallies that comprises of basically all the people that you're taking with you on the bus. So
that's right, because they don't have a plane, do they?
Right. They have no money, and this is kind of what they're reduced to. So that's our first example from the NDP. Now, this is a Mark Carney rally, and Mark Carney has just been introduced. So, there's a decent amount of people in here.
Maybe about 1,000 or so.
Yep. But again, if you look back towards the back, you can see that there's more mirrors here. Like, how are they in all these places where there's nothing but mirrors? It's very, very interesting.
Again, it could be coincidence. We're not saying that these rooms were booked deliberately because they had mirrors in them. But again, end result is the same. It makes the crowd look larger.
This is probably the most obvious example that we have here. So this is Karina Gold, and she is opening her campaign office. And if you were to just take this at face value, it looks like there's probably about 200 people there. But then you say, well, wait a minute, and you look behind them. There is a full wall mirror going the entire length of the shot. So it's actually reflecting everybody that's behind them. So what looks like 100 to 200 people, it looks more like only about 30. And this is just, again, if there's all these people.
Now, this being a campaign office, you could argue that the mirrors were most likely put up there by Karina Gold and her team. Whether it was for this specific purpose, I can't say. But again, end result the same, that it looks like there's more people in there than actually are there.
Well, and if there was all these people, if there was this massive amount of support, like the polls would suggest, where are these people?
Right. And I'm starting to see it more and more online. Some areas are just liberal cesspools, like Reddit, for example, but you're starting to see the pushback. And even on Facebook, you are starting to see the pushback against the liberal narrative.
So you're talking candidate posts, you're talking candidate pages. We're seeing a lot of people that are really pushing back. The bot season seems to be over in terms of the pro-liberal bots, but
do you suppose that they can get in a lot of trouble for that with Elections Canada for running bots during the election cycle?
Oh, it's possible.
Because the rules do change after the writ is dropped. There's a lot of things you can and cannot do. So again, I don't know all the rules. I'm not familiar with them 100%, but I'm wondering if maybe that's why we're not seeing as much bot activity or as much activity that we think can be attributed to bots.
Right. So this is the interesting aspect of this.
Again, this is just anecdotal for what Ryan and I are seeing online. You guys let us know in the comments. Are you seeing, more pro-conservative narrative on your social media? Are you seeing as many accounts that you think may be bots? Let us know.
Now, we're going to show you the last comparison here. And this is a rally that was at a site that there is 100% no mirrors involved whatsoever. It's a site that I don't think they would ever put a mirror in there, except if it was at a bathroom. And the person that was actually holding this rally, well, I'm sure you'll recognize. This is the rally that was in Stony Creek the other day, and already the depth of people behind Pierre here, you can really tell that there's a lot of people. And as he moves to finish his speech, the camera's going to zoom back, and you'll get a sense of really the scale here. From the stage to that Canada flag that's behind him, that's probably a good 100 to 200 feet. And so as the camera pans back, you really get a sense of how large this is. This was in an industrial warehouse and production facility in Stony Creek. So the camera is zooming back, and there's just so many people, and the majority of the people that were there were in standing rooms. So that's a lot of people that you're actually putting into one place. Now, there's reports that there were 4,500 people, 5,000 people.
It was a lot.
There was a lot of people.
The cars we heard were the parking lot was completely filled up, and this is like an industrial sized parking lot where they park equipment and stuff normally, and that was full, and the cars were lined up in both directions, like on both sides of the street, all the way to the QEW. It was insane.
Yeah, and it was actually a good thing that we stayed behind and was saying hi to a lot of people, because we were there for probably about an hour and a half after the rally, and by the time we made it back out to our car, people were still leaving.
Yeah,
So,
the streets were backed up still. It was insane. I have never seen so many people in one place that wasn't like a concert or a sports arena type thing. You know what I mean?
well, and it's again, I go back to these polls. Where are all these liberals? Like, they're trying to insinuate almost half the country is behind Mark Carney. So he's more popular than Justin Trudeau was in 2015. Not sure how that's possible. And is reaching the popularity levels of Justin Trudeau's father. Again, I don't understand how that would be possible legitimately when nobody even knows who Mark Carney really is.
I think it's all smoke and literal mirrors.
Yeah. Now, one of the reasons why we're skeptical about this is not just the polls, but Mark Carney himself. So his attitude and the way he responds to media, or even doesn't respond to media. Here's an example of a recent trip that he took to London. Buttoned-down banker turned PM buttoned up in London. Prime Minister Mark Carney made a quick stop in London on Wednesday, but didn't take any questions from reporters.
Prime Minister Mark Carney made a quick stop in London on Wednesday, but didn't take any questions from reporters, a sign his handlers are trying to, quote-unquote, insulate the rookie politician in the early days of a short campaign, a political scientist says. Carney's decision not to engage with the local media is a reflection of his lack of campaign experience and an attempt by his team to protect him from any unforced errors during a campaign his party appears to be leading, said Matt Farrell, a political science instructor at Fanshawe College. Kaya Gaba, who was recently named government House Leader and Minister of Democratic Institutions, downplayed the fact that Carney didn't engage with reporters while in the city. His visit was always meant to be a quote-unquote whistle stop, she said, and Londoners will soon have the opportunity to hear directly from the Liberal leader. Quote, the trip was not for him to come and do an event in London, but he'll be back in London, end quote, Kaya Gaba said. Quote, he would have done a disservice to us and his colleagues if he just drove by on the bus and didn't make a pit stop in London. That's what that was about, end quote. It was an opinion echoed by Fragiscatos, who said the fact that Carney stopped in London while touring southwestern Ontario is a reflection of the city's importance in the campaign. Quote, he is engaging and speaking directly to Canadians, including Londoners, on a daily basis, end quote, he said. Quote, he could have gone anywhere and he decided to come to London and see things up close in a manufacturing facility that's deeply impacted by tariffs. That is making crystal clear the importance of London to the party and to the Prime Minister, end quote.
He could have gone anywhere, but Messiah Carney chose to grace London with his presence, so people should appreciate that. That's how that article is kind of written to me.
Yeah.
But this is where we get down to Mark Carney. So he has had a lot of trouble in interviews lately. He's had a lot of trouble from reporters. This is only 3 days gone by as of the time this article was written, folks. Wednesday. And if he's already having this much trouble, then yeah, that's an issue. And I would argue to that political scientist, given that this campaign is so short, he can't afford not to talk to reporters. He can't afford not to try and get his message out.
Right. That's exactly it. He needs to be speaking to the reporters and therefore to the Canadian people about the Liberal plan, the Liberal policies, how they're going to fix what they've broken, how they're going to improve going forward, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If he's not connecting with Canadians through the media, he's missing opportunities. But here's the thing. I suspect anyways that not talking to the reporters and not talking to Canadians through these reporters may be beneficial in some cases because, again, he's not a politician. He doesn't know what to say and not say, and he comes across as condescending in a lot of his interactions with the reporters. So maybe the Liberal team is taking this as, well, it's better if he doesn't speak to the public in certain cases, which should be concerning to everybody.
Well, it should be concerning to everybody, and I guarantee you, if he keeps this up, it's going to get noticed very quickly by his opposition, in which Jagmeet, Yves-François Blanchet, and Pierre Poilievre will pounce on that like a pack of rabid dogs, because a prime minister that doesn't engage with reporters, doesn't engage with Canadians, is not deserving of a vote.